On the coast of Shiranui Sea in Japan lies a small fishing town Minamata, originally established in 1889 as a village. Minamata grew into a small town by 1949 with strong fishing community. It was mid-1950s when the Minamata first started to notice something strange was off with town cats. At first they often reported to stay up all night screaming and screeching. After few weeks they started to go crazy dancing and throwing into the sea. At first town folks thought they were committing suicide. Not long after the strange phenomenon spread across the town. In the beginning the symptoms weren't so bad. On April 21, 1956, a 5-year-old girl was examined at Chiso's factory hospital in Minamata. The physicians were puzzled by her symptoms: difficulty walking, difficulty speaking, and convulsions. 2 days later, her younger sister also began to exhibit the same symptoms and she, too, was hospitalized. The girl's mother informed doctors that her neighbor's daughter was also experiencing similar problems. On 1st of May, the hospital director reported to the local public health office the discovery of an epidemic of an unknown disease of the central nervous system, marking the official discovery of Minamata disease. Researchers from Kumadai also began to focus on the cause of the strange disease. They found that the victims, often members of the same family, were clustered in fishing hamlets along the shore of Minamata Bay. The staple food of victims was invariably fish and shellfish from Minamata Bay. The cats in the local area, which tended to eat scraps from the family table, had died with symptoms similar to those now discovered in humans. This led the researchers to believe that the outbreak was caused by some kind of food poisoning, with contaminated fish and shellfish being the prime suspects. On 4th of November, the research group announced its initial findings. Minamata disease is rather considered to be poisoning by a heavy metal. Presumably it enters the human body mainly through fish and shellfish. As soon as the investigation identified a heavy metal as the causal substance, the wastewater from the Chiso factory was immediately suspected as the origin. The company's own tests revealed that its wastewater contained many heavy metals in concentrations sufficiently high to bring about serious environmental degradation, including lead, mercury, manganese, arsenic, thallium, and copper, plus the chalcogen selenium. Identifying which particular poison was responsible for the disease proved to be extremely difficult and time-consuming. On November 12, 1959, the Ministry of Health and Welfare's Minamata Food Poisoning Subcommittee published its results. Minamata disease is a poisoning disease that affects mainly the central nervous system and is caused by the consumption of large quantities of fish and shellfish living in Minamata Bay and its surroundings, the major causative agent being some sort of organic mercury compound. Now let's see more details about the disaster. Symptoms: severe uncontrollable tremors, sensory loss affecting both auditory and visual senses, partial paralysis, numbness in the extremities like the hands and feet. Speech impairment may also be observed, growth and developmental problems with both physical and mental health, microcephaly, and neurodevelopmental disorder. In children, mental retardation. Minamata disease was first discovered in the city of Minamata, Kumamoto Prefecture, Japan, in 1956, hence its name. It was caused by the release of methylmercury in the industrial wastewater from a chemical factory owned by the Chiso Corporation, which continued from 1932 to 1968. It has also been suggested that some of the mercury sulfate in the wastewater was also metabolized to methylmercury by bacteria in the sediment. This highly toxic chemical bioaccumulated and biomagnified in shellfish and fish in Minamata Bay and the Shiranui Sea, which, when eaten by the local population, resulted in mercury poisoning. As soon as the investigation identified a heavy metal as the causal substance, the wastewater from the Chiso factory was immediately suspected as the origin. The company's own tests revealed that its wastewater contained many heavy metals in concentrations sufficiently high to bring about serious environmental degradation, including lead, mercury, manganese, arsenic, thallium, and copper, plus the chalcogen selenium. Identifying which particular poison was responsible for the disease proved to be extremely difficult and time-consuming. During 1957 and 1958, many different theories were proposed by different researchers. Polluting wastewater had damaged the fisheries around Minamata ever since the opening of the Chiso factory in 1908. The Minamata Fishing Cooperative had managed to win small payments of sympathy money from the company in 1926 and again in 1943, but after the outbreak of Minamata disease, the fishing situation was becoming critical. Fishing catches had declined by 91% between 1953 and 1957. Chiso paid the cooperative $183,477 about $1.7 million in 2021 value, and set up a $137,608 about $1.25 million today fund to promote the recovery of fishing. Chiso agreed, and after a few weeks further negotiation, another sympathy money agreement was signed. Patients who were certified by a Ministry of Health and Welfare committee would be compensated. Adult patients received $917 per year, children $275 per year, and families of dead patients would receive a one-off $2,935 payment. Environmental pollution by toxic substances results in serious damage such as health damage and destruction of the living environment. From the instance of Minamata disease, Japan has learned that an approach to prioritize economic goals without proper attention to the environment causes serious problems, including damage to health, and it is also not easy to recover from it later on. From the economic standpoint, it is clear that such an approach are not economically viable choice because the measures against this type of damage takes a large amount of cost and a great deal of time in comparison with the cost for the case of taking appropriate measures to prevent pollution.